Oh, hello, this is Tak Chung from Walk with Tak. Welcome to our YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share. Well, this is another beautiful day as the sun rolls through a light cloud. If you like noodles, this video will be for you. And if you never had rice noodles before, I think you will be ready to go out and get some rice noodles and try it out. In this video, I'm going to show you how to stir fry a rice noodle dish that takes only about 3 minutes. I cook these rice noodles very often. Usually I use it for breakfast. Sometimes I cook it for the evening snack. One question you probably will ask is that how are rice noodles different from, say, wheat noodles? Well, of course, we know that rice noodles are made from rice. But how are the texture of rice noodles different from, say, pasta noodles? They are actually quite different. When you eat rice noodles, you find that it tastes more crispy. They tend to be more firm and they have a al dente texture. At the same time, they also less starchy. A rice noodle has become increasingly popular over the world. A rice noodle has a long history. It originated in China about 2,000 years ago. After the first emperor unified China, he sent his emissary to the southern part of his kingdom. When they arrived there, they found that there are no noodles which they are accustomed to eat in northern part of China. So they commissioned the local farmers to use rice to make rice noodles. Today, rice noodles is very popular in the southern provinces of China as well as in Southeast Asia, such as Vietnam. And when I was growing up in Hong Kong, a rice noodle is a very popular street food. And you can find them in almost most street corners. I usually had them about 2 to 3 times a week on my way to school as breakfast. This is a simple rice stir-fry noodle dish with egg and scallion. And this is what I'm going to show you how to make today. A rice noodle comes in many different kinds, and this is one that I use often. This is probably one of the most popular brands, and you can find them in many Asian grocery stores. I always cook my rice noodles in advance and then I store them in the refrigerator. Cooking rice noodle is very similar to cooking spaghetti pasta. I cook this in my Cuisine 14-inch stainless steel wok. After I had the water in boiling, I just add the entire package of noodles to the wok. The rice noodle actually comes in 3 separate bundles. This will allow you to cook them separately if you prefer. I use a pair of stainless steel tongs to tear them apart. These rice noodles are very fast to cook, and it usually takes about 3 to 4 minutes. The wok is probably the best utensil for boiling noodles. Because of its large opening, it makes it easy to manipulate the noodles. And also with the large openings, it prevents the water from go into a full boil. So there is less mess that you need to clean up on the stove. I usually set my timer for about 3 minutes, and I would taste test the noodles. I want them to be slightly firm. Since I'm going to cook them again, this will prevent me from overcooking them. This step is essential for me to transfer the noodles to a bowl of cold water. This will stop the noodles from being further cooked. As you can see here, a large handheld strainer is very helpful in transferring the noodles. I then rinse the noodles a few more times in running cold water. I then transfer the noodles to a plastic container and I store them in the refrigerator. The noodles have a shelf life around a week. I use them both in stir-fry as well as in a rice noodle soup. When I'm ready to use the rice noodles, I use a knife to cut out the exact portion of what I want. This is an easier way to separate the rice noodles after you store them. This approach is much simpler in comparison when you try to tear them out from the plastic container. Storing the noodle this way affects neither the flavor nor the texture. And next, I'm going to show you how to cook this stir-fry rice noodle dish. The dish is extremely simple to cook, and it takes only about 2 to 3 minutes. I'm going to cook this dish in my hybrid stainless steel wok. I just happened to pick this wok because I feel like using it today. I'm going to start about 2 tablespoons of canola oil. I season the wok with my spot seasoning method just to make sure that I have a non-stick cooked surface. I'm going to use 3 eggs because I'm cooking this dish both for my wife and me. Basically, I'm going to scramble the egg. I want to cook the egg to a relatively firm texture. I will try to keep the egg pieces relatively intact. This will give me a better taste of the egg in the noodles. So I'm going to give it only a light scramble. This will provide better flavor and texture and a more interesting culinary experience. After storing the noodles in the refrigerator for about 24 hours, they stuck together quite well. At this stage, teasing them apart is quite a challenge. So I use a knife to cut the block of noodles that I need. This turned out the best way to remove the noodles from the plastic containers. I used about 1½ cup of noodles to make a dish for both my wife and me. All I need to do now is to separate the noodles and to warm them up to serving temperature. I don't need to cook them, so I turn off the heat. Since I am using an electric stove, the residual heat will be enough. This will be sufficient for me to warm up the noodles. I use a pair of stainless steel tongs to tear the noodle apart. This is probably the most convenient way to do this. After I loosen the noodles sufficiently, I switch to a wok spatula. This will provide me greater efficiency to mix the noodles with the eggs. Well, this is quick and easy. And next, I season the noodles with a combination of oyster sauce and hoisin sauce. And of course, you can season it in any way that you would like. However, a combination of hoisin sauce and oyster sauce gives the noodles great flavor. After a taste test, I add a bit more soy sauce so that I can make the noodles a little bit more saltier. And with some more mixing, the taste is just right. The texture of the noodles is also perfect. So now the final step is to add the scallions. I add 1/3 cups of chopped scallions, and you can add more or less depending on how much you like scallions. And if you don't have scallions, you can just omit it. A few quick mix, this stir-fried rice noodle dish is done. And the total cook time is a little bit over 3 minutes. And the flavor of this stir-fried rice noodle dish is terrific. It makes a perfect breakfast and or a late night snack. I love this simple rice noodle, egg and scallion stir-fried dish. It brings back a lot of my childhood memory. So I strongly urge you to give this a try. I post a video each day to help you to make home cooking practical, efficient, creative, and fun using my fast cooking system. If you'd like to learn more about my fast cooking system, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. So keep on cooking. I will see you tomorrow.